guys? In today's video, we are going to be talking about what is it like to live with the V8 Wrangler, the Jeep Wrangler 392. For those of you who are new to the channel, or maybe you're stopping by for the first time, this is my Jeep Wrangler 392, and had it for about a little over a year now, maybe about a year and a half maybe, and I've put almost 20,000 miles on it. So I feel like, you know, I have some decent background to tell you guys what it's been like to live with. I've been using this as my daily driver, and also, you know, obviously taking it off-road out to Moab and whatnot. So what I want to focus on in this video is mainly things that are different from a regular Jeep that specifically talk about the 392 for the most part. You know, because obviously the rest of this is very, very Jeep, a very JL Wrangler. So first thing we should talk about is, what is it like when you're getting up in the morning, doing your normal morning routine, and you know, you go to remote start it? What is that experience like? Obviously, it's pretty loud for being a bone stock exhaust, right? That's from the factory. That's just, you left the valves open and you go to do a cold start. That's what it sounds like. And again, for being a Jeep with a factory exhaust, that's pretty loud. So if you like your neighbors, you know, maybe you just make sure that you close your valves. If you're the type of person that wakes up super early, like for me, I get up every morning around 6 to 6:30 and head to the gym. So I usually make sure that my valves are closed before I start it, because I don't want to be that guy that wakes everybody up, because, you know, my neighbors are nice people, so I don't want to ruin their morning or ruin their sleep just because I want to hear the cold start. So just keep that in mind, because again, for a stock vehicle, you know, and especially being a Jeep, you don't expect that. And it's definitely a pretty solid cold start, which is just pretty cool. It just kind of adds to the fun of having the V8 Jeep. All right, so obviously one of the other things that you're gonna notice when you start living with this thing is just how much power this thing has, just in general, and then as well as for a Jeep. So if you guys aren't familiar with this engine, it's a 6.4 liter V8, same engine that's out of the Challenger Scat Pack and the Charger Scat Pack. So it's 470 horsepower, which doesn't sound like a lot in today's stupid numbers, but in a Jeep, that's a lot of power. So one of the things you're gonna notice is just the crazy amount of passing power you have. So let's say you're just like, oh, I need to get past this person. You just put your foot down. I mean, it moves. And not only does it move, it also sounds fantastic. So you can just be cruising along in quiet mode, just driving just like a normal Jeep, and then all of a sudden you can just put your foot down slightly and you have 470 horsepower to just, you know, make yourself laugh, you know, brighten up your day. And it's just funny to be in a Jeep that can just do 0 to 60 in, you know, the mid 4s or low 4s, depending on which gear set you have. And that's just one of the things that, you know, sometimes you forget when you're just driving it normally and you go to put your foot down for some reason just because you want to, or maybe you just do have to pass somebody, and it really kind of takes you by surprise because the whole thing goes back, and it's a lot of fun. So obviously, depending on how you drive, you're going to be visiting one of these a lot, a gas station. If you got a heavy foot and you love to just hear the exhaust, you love to just floor it everywhere, you love to try to race every muscle car you see, you're going to be spending quite a few time stopping in here at a gas station. When you're in the gas, it drinks fuel. However, if you stay out of it and you just drive it normally, as if you would say a Jeep that didn't have a V8, then this honestly gets better or the same gas mileage as my two-door did, but just with a larger tank. So I can go up to, you know, 300 or so on a tank, depending on how hard I drive it. You know, if I'm doing in-city, in-town. In-city, I'm averaging anywhere from 15 to 16. On the highway, we're looking at anywhere from 17 to 18, which, again, for being a giant brick with a huge engine, isn't that bad. So one of the other things that you're going to notice is if you've ever driven a Jeep, whether it's a JK, JL, doesn't matter, and as soon as you drive one of these, you're going to realize just how good of a ride this thing has, because 392 gets specific suspension compared to a different Rubicon, right? It's got different springs, different spring rates, different shocks, and it actually rides really, really well. Definitely the best and most comfortable Wrangler that I've ever driven. Now, I'm not saying it's going to rival a Raptor, because it won't, but for a Jeep that has solid front axle, or solid axles front and rear, and you can take everything off, it's actually very civilized in here, and it makes it easy to daily drive, makes it easy to go on road trips because you're not constantly getting bounced around, and when you hit a bump, it doesn't just put you all over the place. Not to mention the fact that just being the Jeep in general, if you guys have watched any of my previous videos, you know, this is a much quieter experience with the valves closed than, say, my two-door Bronco with the hardtop. This is just a lot quieter, and the ride is a little bit smoother, obviously with that longer wheelbase, so it's a fairly good riding, fairly quiet, considering you can take everything apart, vehicle, which makes it good to daily drive, and again, easy to live with than, say, you know, a Jeep from 15 years ago. Alright guys, so obviously last thing that we should really talk about is going off-road, right? So, you know, if you buy one of these, hopefully you are in fact taking it off-road, because then, you know, there's a lot more things for this price that you could buy that are way better at just being on the road, so take it off-road. With that being said, when you're rock crawling, what you're going to notice is mainly just the sound. You know, you're going to turn the exhaust on, you just kind of hear it burbling in the background, as well as being able to put your foot in it and just make it crawl up basically anything. The biggest difference that you're going to notice is if you take it someplace kind of out in the open where there's some sand dunes, you know, some just open spaces, that's where you're going to notice the biggest difference between this and a regular Jeep. Because if you guys seen my previous video where I took this and my Bronco out into the desert, that's where this was so much different than a regular Jeep. Because obviously, you know, a regular Jeep can rock crawl. You don't need the V8 to do that. But blasting around full throttle, manually shifting with the paddles on the steering wheel, and having the exhaust valves open and just flooring it through the desert and the sand, and having the power and grunt to just rip through some of the deeper sand, is something that is a very different feeling. So if you like to do that, you know, you like to do the rock crawling, and then you want to also have a little bit of fun in the sand, just kind of blast through it, that's where you're going to notice a huge difference between this. So other than that, guys, again, you still get the same benefits of a Jeep. It just kind of elevates it a bit more, you know. You can just have it be normal, exhaust valves closed, cruise along, and be the same as a regular Jeep, and just cruise around, or you can, with the press of a button, make it a whole new experience and just make it that much better than a regular Jeep. You know, like I said, still just as practical, still can hold just as many people, can tow just as much, and arguably tow a little bit better. But at the end of the day, what it's like to live with is it's a regular Jeep that just makes every day a bit more fun, which is the whole point of this thing, right? It's not necessary, but it's just fun. So anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to give it a like and subscribe, and feel free to check out some of the older videos with this and the Bronco, or the Raptor, or anything else on the channel. And yeah, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.